What is the most messed up thing you've ever heard while eavesdropping? NSFW. Couple is walking down the street toward me. Clearly in the early stages of dating. Maybe third date. Guy is animatedly telling the girl a story. And I overhear. Got really wasted and I blacked out. And the next thing I know, I wake up in Hoboken without my shoes. And I just thought, where are my kids? One of the few times I've considered turning around and following someone down the street. Was dying to hear the rest of the story. He spends all his day in his cave playing video games and it's pathetic, my mother. I was walking and I overheard a girl talking with her friends and all I heard was then he put it in my butt and I passed out. I was wondering how that would happen for the rest of the day. A lady I don't like complaining to her friend about how strong the coffee is at our work. I put a sign right by the coffee maker. Only use 2 scoops. Whoever makes it isn't reading my sign. Whispers I get bad diarrhea when it's too strong. I used roughly 7 scoops the next day. I was at a wedding this weekend and this 12-year-old next to me was talking to some other 12-year-old and I just hear one of them say, "He's cute and all but he's just not hot enough to, ? What planet am I on?" Walking past my dad's bedroom not long after my mom left, maybe a week or 2. I overheard him on the phone telling someone that my mom had been having an affair and had left him for that guy. They had told me differently, of course. But to 10-year-old me it broke my heart and made me wonder why we weren't good enough for my mom to want to stay. I told my dad about 15 years later and he said, "I'm so sorry. You weren't supposed to know that. I thought you were downstairs still." My parents thought I was asleep. Dad, should we tell her? Mom, no. She can never know. I never asked. Distinctly overheard someone say, "I haven't seen you since we got drunk off cough syrup in your ambulance." Made a point to write it down because sentences like that don't happen every day. I can't believe a black person had the nerve to shush me. I was on a busy peak hour train. In the quiet carriage in this carriage, people are expected to keep their music down low and their phone conversations hushed. This young girl in front of me gets a call. She then starts going on and on about how her boyfriend gave her herpes, complete with some lovely descriptions and theories about him cheating. Considering that it was so quiet, she had the rapt attention of 50+ horrified passengers. It's not my kid. It doesn't even look like me. The pussy's mine but the kid ain't. I was at the food court in a mall when this group of teenagers walked by. 3 guys and 1 girl. The girl punches the one guy in the arm and says, "My arsehole hurts." The guy she hit had the biggest grin on his face. I wasn't eavesdropping, but at 13, my father got into the car with scratches up and down his arm and he said, "Welp, I just witnessed my first exorcism. Let's go home." He was plainly shaken up and serious. Overheard my boss telling someone in his office about the crazy weekend he'd had. He went home with a banging cougar in her 60s. He's 27, did the deed, and came face to face with her husband as he was leaving the house. The woman came out, started making out with her husband, and then they convinced him to have a threesome with him that made him feel like he was ducking his parents. Couldn't look at him the same way after that. College freshman living in the dorms. Upper bunk. Nighttime. Haven't quite fallen asleep. Overhear one of roommate's ladies saying, "You want to put what in my butt? Don't you know how big your D is? Duck." It was sucking on my eyelids for like 10 minutes. I must have misheard. And then he was like, "Oh girl, yo titties feel like oatmeal." It's more funny than messed up, honestly. In Northeast GEA. "Kid, I don't want salt in my food." Mom, "Put salt in your food." Sadly, yes, they were both obese. I was walking to class when I passed a girl on a bench with a cell phone to her ear. "What do you mean she got run over by a carriage?" Sounded pretty straightforward to me. I lived next to a 50-something married couple that used to get into drunken shouting matches on a bi-weekly basis. One day they were on the balcony screaming at each other about which one of them hit the bed. They proceeded to explain their diets and colon shapes to defend their innocence. Oh man, I'm a bit late to the party but I still can't believe I overheard this. I was on a train in Toronto around 6:30 PM last summer, so extremely busy, every seat taken kind of situation. and these two middle-aged women were casually chatting about their husbands, children, what have you. The one woman is talking about her new German Shepherd and how her husband has really taken a liking to him. So much so that he's spending time with the dog in the middle of the night while she's sleeping. And she says to her friend, I kid you not, that she found her husband jerking off the dog at 3 AM, allegedly to calm it down. She didn't even lower her voice. I looked at her friend and she was pretty flabbergasted. 2. I never saw her on the train again. But I hope that her husband has stopped fiddling with their dog. Yuck. My grandma to my dad while me and my siblings and I were in her living room in sleeping bags about to hit the hay. Yeah. But I still see Pap, my grandpa, sitting in the kitchen all the time. Yeah. Dude's been dead for like 2 years. Kitchen is in plain view from the living room I was sleeping in. I did not sleep that night. I was in a bathroom stall at a club and overheard the girl in the stall next to me asking her friend for a tampon. The other friend says yeah and hands her one. Then the girl asks for a Ziploc baggie. Her friend asks why, and the girl explains that she saves her old tampons, rinses them out when she gets home, then stuffs them back into the applicator tubes and reuses them. Hey, how long ago was 600 days? Valley Girl A. I dunno, like for months? Valley Girl B. Walking and passing some guy on his phone says oh my god mom I have never went down on a guy so fast in my life. Why is that guy listening to us? Dunno if you'd call it messed up, but for me it was incredibly eye-opening listening in on a conversation in HS between girls I knew and what they wanted liked about sex. I had no idea at the time that normal girls were just as obsessed about sex as the average teenage guy was. Oh this. Heard late one night while walking up the stairs and past my neighbor's apartment door. Her. Loudly. Hold still. I can't get it in all the way. Him. It's not supposed to go in all the way. OW that hurt. Her. Oh sorry, baby. This was your idea. Should we stop? I don't wanna do it if you don't. Him. No it's cool. It's cool. This is good. But it won't fit unless you open it up a little more. Thinking to myself. Ooh okay. They're assembling new furniture. At midnight. I think I'll just continue up to my apartment now. Every once in a while I pass him in the hall and I'm like, hey what's up man? I was sitting at the sauna at the gym with headphones in, but not listening to music. A young lady walks in followed by another guy. We are all strangers. I just sit there and listen to this guy hit on this girl with complete failure. He was suggesting they should meet up every day at the same time and meet in the steam room and all these other terrible tactics to get the girl. Well, when he sees it going nowhere he defaults the conversation by trying to make fun of me. He was saying things about my socks and how he doesn't like socks to be mid-ankle height or something. I could care less about this asshole. I have been made fun of before and can take it like a champ now. I look up at the girl with a crooked smile and this poor girl looked so uncomfortably embarrassed. She gets up and leaves after a little bit longer. After she leaves, I pop my headphones out to see if this guy will talk to me. Of course he does. And of course, he is now my buddy. I get the conversation to music, because I know what I am going to say. I get him to ask me what music I like to listen to at the gym. I proceed to stand up, look right at him, and tell him I just like to put headphones in so people won't try to talk to me and also so I can eavesdrop on strangers' conversations. His face went red and I just turn and walk out the door. I had a great workout after that adrenaline rush. I was sitting in the grass at a track meet and overheard two guys talking. Guy 1. So I took the scissors to my nipple and started cutting a little bit, but it didn't hurt. So I cut the rest off. Guy 2. Dude, what? In a library at uni doing work. Overheard at the next table. So I told Ben I have syphilis last night. Everyone at the tables next to that table all looked up at once with the look of did I just hear that? Followed by attempts to contain laughter. Quiet libraries are not the best place to share some things. I was in a store once and heard two girls talking about the first thinks she may be pregnant. So her friend says well did you use any KY jelly this time? No. What did you use then? She said Smuckers. This isn't really messed up. Just kind of hilarious. It was a table full of old men at a pizza joint. As I walked by I looked over at them and just caught the end of his statement. One of them leaned in real close and says, "And then she told me to Google it." There was a pause and then he just goes, "What the duck is a Google?" And the other old guys just kinda throw up their hands. Yes, I've posted this before, but I'm happy to do it again. I'm a makeup artist and my clients sit in the chair for an hour sometimes. Conversations don't always last and this one girl was texting. I was standing behind her doing her hair and she had an international phone so it looked cool and different than mine, or anyone I had seen. I was peeking at the screen to see what it was all about and she happened to be texting her boyfriend and how she wanted to duck herself with my curling iron. I never peeked again and I never looked at my curling iron as just an iron. In university I ran for student council and needed signatures to get on the ballot. I asked a girl in one of my classes, with whom I'd worked on some projects, and who had always been friendly, to sign. And she did. After class, walking to another building, the girl is just a few feet ahead of me and I hear her plainly saying to a friend, and then that arsehole wanted me to sign up for him to get on council. I didn't say a word, but just walked a little faster and passed them. I was at a party and overheard a girl talking about some guy she randomly ducked. She was regaling her friend, almost sobbing. I almost threw up the next day when I saw him and realized he was a Mexican. And then I realized I forgot to take my pill. So all week I was afraid I was going to have a Mexi baby. Thank God I got my period. I ended up overhearing this girl's name later on and committed it to memory. Fast forward about a week. I'm drinking with my buddy Miguel at his place. He makes some remark about getting laid recently and how he hated himself because he didn't use a condom and how he was really ducking drunk and this fugly girl basically took advantage of him. I just blurt out. Mid-sentence, "Was her name Melissa?" "Yep." I was homeschooled for a number of years, and my mother didn't really censor her phone conversations. For a family that claims to live a righteous life, there have been a lot of affairs and a lot of felonies. I overheard two nurses talking about a patient who was admitted to the hospital for intoxication, along with having a back of 3 times the limit. Upon examination the doctor found she had a pill bottle in her V. When he asked the family member about it, the response was that she always kept the bottle there to make sure no one stole it. There was some benzo in the bottle, Xanax or something of the sort. I would have paid to see the doctor's face when discovering the bottle. What's Reddit? Just some social networking site. It's kinda like Tumblr. Honestly, I think only nerds go on it. I was in a hospital room with a fishing lure embedded in my face while next door a man was describing mild chest pains to a nurse. He sounded pretty calm. "Yeah, it's not heartburn because I didn't have any blah reg." I could hear how far the vomit launched. Also, the doctors were calling me that fish hook kid when they thought I wasn't listening. When I was younger I heard my dad on the phone with another woman saying he loved her. The other woman wasn't my mom, so I told her. My parents ended up getting a divorce and my dad hated me for a while until he stopped drinking. I once overheard my ex-wife telling a friend he says I come like a porn star. Sadly, the he in question was not me. Later, after the affair came out and we were in the process of divorcing but still living in the same apartment. Big mistake. But neither of us could afford to break the lease. I picked up the phone not realizing she was on it to hear "Those were your fluids. You should pay the dry cleaning." I picked a real winner there. Not that messed up, but the context threw me through a loop. I was waiting on the underground subway platform and stood next to a couple. Tall man, short woman. They are talking quietly. She's cuddled to his chest and I can't help thinking they look like a good couple. The guy is eating a Subway sandwich and takes a big bite then begins chewing. Apparently this was not the right moment to indulge in the sandwich as the girl immediately reacts to not being answered and stirs. Before she sees he is chewing and trying to clear his mouth before speaking to her, she irritatedly blurts out, much more loudly than everything else, "Is this because I wouldn't let you come and see?" I can't handle cringe, so I immediately stopped leaning on the wall and began walking away down the platform, which I imagine only drew attention to my having heard. A friend of mine accidentally sent me a text saying, "We will sell them the tapes for no less than $1 million. He works in TV. He sent me an apology and said it was meant for someone else. I was at a 7-11 when I overheard a guy seeming to tell another guy, all up in the club, put some Molly in her drink. She didn't even know. Took her back to the crib and did what I want. She didn't even know. I googled it when I got home, and to make sure, I really hope he was just misquoting the song lyrics that came up in the search. Morphine. Punctuation. I work at a large branch of pubs in the UK, so I was at my job waitering and I was cleaning up a table near this 40-something, drunk, kinda fugly looking couple. In how I was cleaning away and I hear the guy say, "I think that bloke's a girl." I looked at them and they were looking at me. Now let me just tell you, I'm 6'4". At the time I had a beard going on and I have a D, so I'm pretty sure I'm not a girl. Anyway, I shrug it off. They're just drunk. So I walk off to pick up some glasses, and as I walk back past them the fella stops me. "My wife just wanted to say she thinks you have the nicest legs." Oh, a cheers did a little fake chuckle. "No, but I mean you really have nice legs." "Alright mate. Well, this isn't a strip club, so unfortunately you won't be getting a better look." Then I walked off. The night goes on until it's about an hour away from closing time, which is also when I finish. By now there's group of underage D-heads using full side. Two old blokes who talk in indistinguishable Yorkshire yabble and the fugly looking couple left. I go over to their table reluctantly to pick up the big pile of used glasses, and the bloke says to me, "So when do you finish, lad? Fancy going a drink with me and the missus?" "No thanks, I'm just going to go home." I go to clean more tables. Now this is when I hear the messed up thing. The wife whispers to him, "Stop badgering him." What? I just want to give him a quick rimming. On the SkyTrain, a cracked out couple, the male to the female. "My head was infected for a month. It's your fault. I will never lick another dude's cum on my birthday again." It took all I had to remain silent. My freshman year of college, I overheard a really abrasive girl walking with another guy and another girl say, "I don't care if he's got herpes or not. I'm gonna suck that herpes ass D." But she said it so thug-like that you couldn't even hear the CK part of D, so it sounded like DI, added to the grotesqueness. I overheard someone talking about the Dexter series finale on a train. I was ducking disgusted. My wife was at her ob's office when a ditzy pregnant teen asked her friend, "OMG, do you think the baby will fart inside of me? Will I feel it? Ugh, that's so gross. I don't want baby farts inside of me." Walking down the hallway in high school, then Emily just came over and it on the carpet. I realized about 15 minutes later that Emily was probably a cat or dog, but I was really confused for that time. You have no clue how flabbergasted I was. I accidentally had sex with this guy last weekend and my boyfriend is so mad that my cousin hadn't had sex for 1.5 years. He's only been married for 2 years. And his wife told him she didn't find him sexually attractive. That's just depressing. Not really messed up, but cute as duck. These kids were walking down a street together in Sydney and one pipes up, "Did you know the teddy bear is named after the first Prime Minister of America, Theodore Chaswick?" I was impressed at the obscure knowledge he knew and even more impressed at how adorably he'd gotten it wrong. Two middle-aged women were talking about their 6 and 9-year-old daughters. This was about the 9-year-old. "She sucks the cap of Pepsi bottles so much. I think she's imitating a blowjob. Blowjob imitating at the age of 9, so messed up." Two girls talking in the hallway in high school. "My dad is taking my shopping after I get the abortion." This is not as light-hearted as everyone else's, but it enlightened me upon the lives of social workers. I was waiting for one of my social work classes to start and there was a social circle of people down the hall from me talking about their summer internship experiences. One woman started to talk about how she worked in a juvenile delinquent correction facility, and that there was this one boy who was constantly in and out. He never behaved in school, like off the wall not behaving, such as getting in fights, constantly getting up on tables or making a platform for himself for attention, getting kicked out of class, etc., and kept getting kicked out. Therefore, he kept returning to the correction facility. They had psychologically tested the kid and he was okay, and they kept sending home. Come to find out that at the end of his in and outs with the facility, they found out that his entire family was using him as a sex slave. Not just his parents, but his aunts, uncles, grandparents, all of them. After I heard that story, I do not know how social workers do what they do. 2 guys walking out of a men's washroom. Guy 1, well, it didn't feel that good when she did it, and it left a mark. Guy 2, nods solemnly. It was the other way around for me. My cat usually meets me at the door when I get home from school. One day, I picked him up and screamed, "I'm gonna eat you," in a cutesy monstrous manner, door still open. At that exact moment, a girl walked past my driveway and looked at me with the most scared and shocked expression on her face. I'm Asian. Not exactly messed up, but definitely scary mind-blowing. My dad's an OB-GYN. When I was in high school, he asked me to come by his office and fix something on his computer. Well, I'm sitting at his desk in his office and he enters an examination room next door. I didn't know the walls were almost paper thin and I could hear everything. My dad was saying something like, "This is a very aggressive form of herpes and it's highly contagious. I'm only saying that you should warn somebody before you have sex with them." The woman sounded very irritated and angry and I could hear them leaving the room. I poked my head out to hear my dad try to console the woman. I'm not sure what I expected, but I was shocked to see the woman was drop dead gorgeous. It kinda taught me that anybody can catch an STD and never think no condom's okay when with somebody the first time, or ever. Come to think of it, I wonder if that's how my dad tried to get me to be abstinent in high school. Exclamation point. That, sneaky, evil, genius.